So welcome back in Forecast. Incredible weekend just gone by. World number one, Scottie Scheffler, back in the winner's circle. A lot of people saying he's back, but he is properly back now in the winner's circle. So phenomenal performance from him last weekend at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson. An incredible 31 under par total of 256 to equal the PGA Tour record. Incredible stuff from Scottie, as we know. But lots to get through this week. The Truist Championship is coming up from Philadelphia Cricket Club tomorrow afternoon. So we're going to have a little look ahead to that, preview what's going on there, who's going to be in the mix. It's going to be a tough one to pick, as it's the first time a PGA Tour event has been played on this course. Also a bit of the news as well this week. A number of players from LIV have been invited to the PGA Championship, which gets underway next week, obviously at Quail Hollow. Quail Hollow is normally the host of this event, but obviously with the PGA Championship coming up next week, the Truist has moved to Philadelphia Cricket Club, which is coincidentally one of the oldest country clubs in America, and a mad-looking place. Looks absolutely stunning, so we'll be chatting about that in a second. Also, we're going to look at power rankings for the PGA tournament next week and who we have in our top 10 there. So I'm going to be having a little look at that. Some of the odds for everything. Myrtle Beach is also an alternate event this week. Let's take a quick look at that. But yeah, some of the headlines kicking off this week. Billy Horschel is undergoing hip surgery, unfortunately. So that's a bit of a shit one for Billy. Likeable guy, really nice dude. Big fan favourite. So Billy's going to be sitting out for the next couple of weeks, which is really unfortunate for him and for the game of golf, because he's always a great character to have around. So best wishes to Billy and his recovery from that. But let's talk about, obviously, last weekend. Incredible stuff from Scottie Scheffler, as we see here. I'm just going to pull this up now. Unbelievable performance. And, you know, I heard a lot of people giving out about the field here and stuff, and obviously it wasn't the strongest field in the world, but you look at Scottie Scheffler to go out there and shoot what he did. I don't care who's playing in the world. Scottie Scheffler on that form with that kind of golf would have taken down anyone. And that includes Rory McIlroy and Xander Schauffele and the likes. Absolutely phenomenal stuff from Scottie Scheffler last weekend. Pockets to 1.782 million. Unbelievable. Look around 61, 63, 66, 63. There was 2 wire-to-wire winners last week. I think the LPGA Tour was the same as well. And obviously on the PGA Tour. But like incredible performance from Scottie Scheffler last weekend, equaling that low 4-round record on the PGA Tour. Just sublime stuff from the world. When we did call it last week, I was pretty certain that he was going to get the job done, and he did in stunning fashion. So it really is great to see all these guys back with the PGA Championship coming up next week. We talked about this on the show a couple of weeks ago, that we sort of projected that, you know, Justin Thomas, we'd him called to win a couple of weeks ago as well. With Rory McIlroy playing so well, obviously winning 3 times this year, getting the career Grand Slam done, getting over the line there. We've Bryson DeChambeau won on LIV last weekend, LIV Korea. You've all the big names. Schauffele is sort of knocking on the door. The really good Masters coming back from that rib injury. So yeah, it could be literally one of the best ever major championships next weekend at Quail Hollow. But obviously, as I said, we have a lot to look forward to this week. Who's going to get the job done? Obviously at Philadelphia Cricket Club, mad name for a golf course, but it really does look stunning. So I'm trying to pull this up here and just give you a bit of a glimpse what it's like. It is going to be a tough one to call this week, because we obviously don't know. There it is, like really absolutely stunning golf course. There's a video on their website there that you can get a little look at some of the holes and stuff, and it is pretty incredible. Do you know what this is here? One more verify. Let's take a look what's going on. But it does look absolutely beautiful. There's a few videos there and stuff. But a few stats here on the course, which I found pretty interesting for this week. Not stats, just sort of how the course is going to play. It is really interesting because it has the most bunkers on any course in the PGA Tour. But primarily, should I say, if you hit the ball over 300 yards, you're missing most of the bunkers. on the longer holes on the course. So you're taking out danger if you're a longer hitter. So obviously it's going to suit longer hitters this week. I heard the greens are, there's going to be, they're very pure. So you're not going to get a lot of straight puts. There is going to be a lot of sort of curvy puts. It was supposed to dry out, but I think the weather is a little bit worse than they expected. So it's going to soften the greens and probably make the scoring a little bit lower. Let's have a look here. Yeah, the weather is set to be a bit rainy, which will probably lead to the scoring being a little bit lower than we would have expected, which is a bit of a shame because I think they would have been looking for sort of a more challenging setup with next week coming up at Quail Hollow. But listen, what can we do about that? No one can change the weather. And I listened to a few of the guys actually talk about that earlier on today. Justin Thomas was speaking about it. So the videos are up there in the channel. And Xander was shuffling about it, and obviously Rory. A few people are moaning about the Rory McIlroy video, the sound. I can't do anything about it. It's the feed from the PGA Tour. I apologise for it wasn't great, the audio from the first one, but the other two are perfect. But you can still pretty much make it out. But also, there's been a huge amount of trees removed on this golf course. So, and there's only one cut of rough. So it's not going to be very penal. So I think you're going to be looking towards players that this year have probably featured. I think we're looking at someone who's already won this season, and I would not be surprised if it's along the likes of a McIlroy, a Justin Thomas, because I think we're at that point now where there's so many, the top guys are playing so well, you could see them going a little bit of a streak, and I wouldn't put it past Justin Thomas or Rory McIlroy, but we'll speak about that in a moment. I just think maybe with Rory you might just get a little bit, I'm not saying he's taken his eye off the prize, but after the Masters win, we saw him at this Zurich, he was a little bit off, out of sorts. And I think coming into next week, he'll want to try out some new things, like a lot of guys. But I just think the way certain players' games are trending at the moment, that we're going to see someone go on a little bit of a streak, maybe 2, even 3 wins in a row on tour. So, a lot to look forward to here this week. But again, there's a huge amount of unknowns in this course. You can't really go into the data and get a good sort of base because we've literally nothing to fucking go on. But saying that, over 300 yards, if you're hitting the ball, if you're flying the ball 300 yards, I think, we're going to see a lot of low scores this week from the bigger hitters. So, I suppose let's start it off. Surprise, surprise, I've Justin Thomas in there, world number 5, hasn't played since his win at the RBC Heritage. But you're just looking at a guy who's he's just constantly knocked on the door, and he's finally got over the line at the RBC Heritage. So when you look at here, his last sort of, 8, 9 events here, you see right there, you see first, obviously, Masters, tied 36, not a great week there. The Valspar second, should have won that really. So that sort of goes back to my point earlier on about saying that, you can get a guy who's going to go on a streak here. And, even if Justin won this week, I wouldn't be even surprised if he wins, at Quail Hollow. 33rd at the Players, 36 at Arnold Palmer, tied 9th, tied 6th, tied 48th, tied 2nd. His game was so good at the RBC Heritage, so cool, so calm, so composed, so collected. Putting much better than it's been. Short game off the tee still a little bit, but you'll get away with it around here, I think, with the only the one cut of rough. And Justin's going to hit. I think his average is actually bang on 300, so he'll probably take a lot of those bunkers and hazards out of play with his game off the tee. And you're going to get him you're going to get Justin this week at 22-1 on the exchange, and you're going to get him. What price? I'd say about 20s on 16s on your regular sports book. So, I am hot and Justin. I think we're really in for something special next week at the US PGA. So, Justin, I mentioned earlier, Justin is one of my 2 out and outs that I think is going to win this week. So let's move on to who my other is. Jordan Spieth again. And I know a lot of people, we had him each way last week. I told you to back him each way last week. He came in each way 4th, really trending in the right direction. It's been such a tough sort of 3 years for Jordan. played with a wrist injury for so goddamn long, and now he's he got the surgery, took the 6 months out. He's knocking on the door. Tied 18th, tied 14th at the Masters. Valero, Texas, tied 12th. Tied 18th at the Orby Sarge. Very tough track there. And obviously last weekend, finished in 4th position. So if you look at his game, still erratic off the, you're always going to get that. And again, like we said, he won't be penalised too much here. There's not these 3 areas. His iron play, a little bit erratic at times, but so good with the wedge, so good with the putter, and it's constantly improving. And if you go and listen to him, I had his post-round interview from the other night, really interesting. I think he's really picking up way more confidence than he had in the previous couple of years. So I expect him to be knocking on the door this week and next week. And I think you're going to get Jordan at a pretty, actually decent price this week. He's only got into this event through a sponsor's invite. And you're going to pick Jordan up at 37-1 on the exchange, and you're going to get him, I think, 28th. Where is he there? I'm blind. It's about 25s on the sports book. So definitely trending in the right direction. We've been talking about it for weeks. He's got you in each way last week. If you had on him, I think he was 40-1 last week, so that would return 10-1 odds. So definitely worth an each way punt on Jordan Spieth this week. Okay, moving on. I think there's other guys here, and I'm looking at the likes of Sepp Straka, who's I think he's all right up there in birdies averages. Yes, he's number 1 on birdie average there in the PGA Tour. As I said, Justin Thomas there. It's probably going to be low scoring this week, and that's why I've sort of gone Victor Hovland, man. The guy is, you never know what you're going to get with Victor, but I just think on a new fresh course, played well at RBC Heritage. Decent at the Masters, tied 21st. Valhalla Championship obviously won that out of nowhere. That came out of nowhere, that win. It was pretty mad because he'd missed 3 straight cuts going into that event, but he's been training again in the right direction. Won that there. I think the way his game is that we never know what's going to happen. It could suit this course as well. Can hit the ball long, solid all round. Putter's the area where I worry with him. But again, he's a guy that will be looking towards next week. As I said, it's so hard to predict a winner this week because of the course. There's literally zero data from the past. But changed a lot of coaches, but he's finally, I think, settled down this year and looks to be coming back to the Victor we knew from a few years ago when he won the FedEx Cup. So I'm liking Victor this week. Let's just have a little look at the odds. 37-1, and then you're going to get him at 25-1 on the sports book. But I definitely think Victor's one to go for next week. Russell Henley, love this place for Russell Henley. Hits the ball long, solid everywhere. It's a little like he plays sort of. Will he go, really, really low? If this turns into a shootout, I hope we're not looking at a shootout. But the worrying thing was that Xander Schauffele said it today, that it could go quite low because of the weather conditions. So I hopefully it'll dry out the track if it does rain, and dry out quickly. But Russell is a guy, man, who's just been had an amazing season. He's going to more than likely be on the Ryder Cup team. Tied 8 last time out at the RBC Heritage. Didn't play last week. Missed a cut at the Masters, surprisingly. Tied 30th at the Players Championship, and obviously won the API, one of the toughest courses on tour. And then he was week before that at the Cognizant. He finished tied 6th. I actually had him backed for the API. Had him backed, and then that was what weekend was that? That was the weekend. Yeah, I won with Carl Phillips as well on the alternate event. So hopefully we might have a bit of luck again with the alternate event being on this weekend as well at Myrtle Beach. So we'll have a quick chat about that at the end. But yeah, I am liking Russell Henley here this week. And as I said, a lot of unknowns on the course. So could definitely suit him. He's going to be trending in the right direction. He is trending in the right direction ahead of next week after a disappointing Masters. So definitely one, I think, to have a little look out for this weekend on the betting blocks. He's actually going to be, he would be my sort of one and done along with Justin Thomas this week. So who else have we got here? We've talked about Victor Hovland. Shane Lowry, worth a punt. I think more of an each way bet here. I think everyone's sort of it's not frustration with Shane. I just think you'll always get 3 really good rounds, but it's just rarely you get the 4 together. Like we saw it at the Masters. You see it so many times, and the putter obviously does let him down a little bit. I think he's not. I think he's one of the worst on tour, from inside 10 feet in terms of his conversion rates. He's well below the tour average. Anyway, don't quote me on that, but some of the stats were pretty horrifying last season. But look at the form here. I'm just going to pull this up. Like the form is actually pretty goddamn solid. He's at his best ever official world golf ranking of 12th, tied 18th, dropped a little bit at the Masters, tied 42nd. Obviously played with Rory at the Zurich. Then we have, the Players' Championship 20. Like, there's a lot of really solid finishes in there. You're just sort of wondering, is that first PGA Tour solo win going to come? What was his last one? The Open Championship was his last win. So, this could be the week. New course, new track. Probably it does look like a course that could suit Shane. I don't really like the low scoring feel for it though, but I think we could be looking at it in each way here for Shane. But it's going to be an interesting one. Keegan Bradley. Another one I like this week. I'm sorry, you're going to get Shane. Oh, fucking hell, I forgot the odds, Shane. Shane is going to come in at 42 to 1 on the sports book. It's on the exchange, and that's going to be, what are we looking at here? You probably see it before me. Jason Day's also pulled out of this event, injured. Shane Lowry's 35 to 1 there. So yeah, like worth a tickle each way, definitely. And I think this man's certainly worth a tickle each way. Really solid performance at the RBC Heritage, tied in, missed the cut at the Masters. Valero Texas Open, he was absolutely awful at the Valero Texas Open. I watched a number of shots from his round. He was one of the featured groups, and he was so erratic off the tee. And there was a couple of holes there where, like, the ball, he was just literally hacking it around. But I don't expect that to continue from Keegan, because he's been so solid for the last 2 years, really, on tour. But I do like the price. Again, a guy can hit the ball quite long. When he's on. A streaky player. I expect him to come back into a little bit of form this week. You can talk about all the data you want to Everton, but if you're looking at these players, I did see a lot of improvements at the RBC Heritage from that poor performance at the Valero Texas. I think he's definitely one you should definitely consider having an each way bet this week, because he's going to be a bloody good price. Where is he here in terms of a price? You're going to get him at, on the sports book. I wrote this down earlier. I can't bloody see it. Keegan, where's Keegan? Okay, you see it there. He's going to be somewhere in the range. I have the exchange price up there. Exchange, he's 59 to 1. So, like, Ryder Cup captain, I like it. I think that's a bloody good price for Keegan Bradley this week on an unknown course as well that, we don't have much knowledge of. Michael Torbjornsson, again, another one. I'm hot on this guy. I've talked about this guy a lot. You're going to get him at a huge price. He's my big sort of down end, heavier price. You're going to get him at, I will tell you right now, you're going to get him at Michael Torbjornsson 100 to 1. Each way bet for me. Decent each way bet. You'll get 6 places on this. And, another one I think you have to sort of look at here is Goodell Gary Woodland, 150 to 1 on the sports book, 300 to 1 on the exchange. Again, each way I'd be going here. I nearly won a bloody fortune on him at the Valspar. The Texas Houston Open. He finished second. I'd him back to, I think, was it 500 to 1 from the exchange that week. So I think, not great at the RBC Heritage, not great at the Valero Texas Open. But if you look at sort of the course setup here, Gary hits the ball extremely long. Solid irons. Putter. The thing with Gary was, at that event, he missed 10 putts that he could have easily have got. I think the course is much better suited here than either of the last 2 events he's played in, the RBC Heritage Valero Texas. It's long. He hits the ball well over 300 yards on average. Lack of trees. First one cut of rough. Gary can. A lot of sort of dog legs rights, very slight on this course from the holes I've looked at. But once you clear that, as I said, the 300 yard area, you have a lot of space for long irons and wedges. There's going to be a lot of layoff areas. The greens are going to be quite receptive by all accounts from what the players have said today, more so than we said that were predicted. So that's an interesting one for me. I think Gary is definitely worth a little punt on an each way price at that. You're going to get places 1 to 6. 150 to 1 is big odds for a signature event with a limited field. So I do like Gary. But as I said to you, what I'm going to go with this week is Justin Thomas as my one and done. And I'll also have obviously Jordan Spieth, we've talked about. I'm going to play on him and a few of the other guys there as well. But they're the ones I think this week that are going to be knocking on the door for next week coming up. What do I expect from McIlroy? Thereabouts. I generally do. I think Scheffler be thereabouts as well. Would I be backing Rory this week? No. I think Rory is too focused now. Like, these events mean, I'm not saying that they mean nothing to him, but it's all about the majors for Rory. And to a certain extent for Justin Thomas and Xander Schauffele. So like someone like Jordan Spieth might sneak in this week. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I'm looking at this event, because we have a lot of unknowns this week. We really fucking do. It's pretty all over the place in terms of data, who you're backing, who you're picking. So the reason why I'm doing the podcast a little bit late as well is because I wanted to hear what the players had to say about the course, because we don't have an awful lot to go on this week, which is absolutely bloody fascinating. Okay, so let's have a little look, as I said, at Myrtle Beach Classic. Again, it is quite a tough one, these alternate events. You just don't really have the time to study them with all that's going on, with everything else going on in the world of golf. I have the odds there as well, by the way. They were the latest odds as of today. They're flashing down the bottom screen. I got the ticker back working, if you noticed, which has been a pain in the ass not fucking having that, but we have it back now. So that is a relief to me. But okay, let's have a look at Myrtle Beach. I think I pulled up some of the odds here. Where did they go? Just give me a sec there, and we'll pull them up. Myrtle Beach. Who did I say I was going with? Sammy Valmaki, I'm going with. And who was the other one? Sammy Valmaki and Rio Hitsatsune. Bad week last week. We actually did have him as one of our each ways. Didn't have a good week last week. Davis Riley. I think Davis Riley's a good player, streaky player, has been in decent form. Does tend to play better in these alternate events. Pearson Coody, good talent, one for the future. Obviously, his brother as well as on tour. He's only limited status this season. Does again. He's another one. If you look back at the past alternate events, he's always sort of featured. He's done well in the autumn series events as well. Sammy Valmaki, a birdie machine when he gets going. Disappointing not to see Sammy here this week. I thought Sammy would have done well actually at Philadelphia Cricket Club, but obviously not to be in terms of the FedEx Cup standings that he's in this event. But they're the four I'm going to go with this week: Sammy Valmaki, Rio Satsune, Davis Riley, and Pearson Coody. Pearson Coody's 40 to 1, Davis Riley 45 to 1, Rio Hatsune 40 to 1, and Sammy Valmaki 35 to 1. I think they're pretty generous prices for guys of that stature. Davis Riley's a past winner on the tour. I think it's just a matter of time before Sammy Valmaki wins on tour as well. Really hot, a little bit obviously erratic at times, but he's a guy that attacks everything. We've talked about that. He'll go for every green, every pin, and he'll attack it. He loves to go out in the front foot. So really do enjoy watching him play golf. But yeah, like that, there's a number of guys obviously that could win it. These events are normally even harder to pick than a lot of them. I haven't put a huge amount of attention into this week because there's so much going on, obviously, with the US PGA coming up next week. But there's some good bets. Thurston Lawrence there, a guy who's been so good on the DP World Tour, hasn't had great form now this year, but 150 to 1 might be able to do something there as well. Might be having a little workout for it. But the four I have there on this side of the screen are the ones that I'll be looking out for. My voice is nearly going here. I've been yapping so much for the last number of minutes. Yeah, listen, if you're getting value out of this, as I said there, do hit us up, do subscribe, do share. Put a lot of work into this in terms of uploading the videos, editing them, and so yeah, if you're liking the content, give it a like, a follow, hit that notification button as well. Very, very important. Some of the videos are doing massive numbers as well, which is great. So there you go. Hit that up, and do catch me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Niall McGrath 4, and I'm on Instagram at the same, as you see there on the side of the screen. Okay, let's have a little look now. I want to take a look at our US PGA power rankings. I've done up a little graphic here for us. There, the US PGA Championship. Someone was moaning earlier on this site, who saying, why you call it the US PGA Championship? It should be the right. Okay, who cares? Everyone knows what it is. So Rory McIlroy, I think, doesn't really need much explaining as to why he's number one on the list. That's obviously due to him fucking winning at Quail Hollow 4 times. Incredible form this year. Absolutely outrageous. I don't really need to explain this. Scottie Scheffler, incredible form again. Justin Thomas, playing really good golf, really solid golf. I think he could possibly win this week, as we talked about. He is my pick. Bryson DeChambeau coming in off of Live, winning at Live. Obviously a very poor round for his standards, the final round of the Masters, but has bounced back well in Live golf. And, he's been contending in most of the majors for the last year. I expect to be right up again there next week. Jordan Spieth, it's his time, bouncing back, steady at the moment. He's ready to pounce. Xander Schauffele, people are riding off Xander too much after that rib injury. He's going to be thereabouts. Shane Lowry having a solid season. You never know what you get. PGA Championship last year equaled the low all-time ever round in a major with a 62. Russell Henley, just a solid player. Love all his game. Good driver, good irons, good short game, very good putter. He's going to be there. Andrew Novak, a name, let's be fair, he's been so solid the last number of weeks this season, to be fair. You've got to put him in up there, the power ranks. I don't personally think he'll get over the line and win a major, but one to keep an eye on, I think, next week. And we'll see, we'll really gauge where he is in terms of his career next week, if he can go out at Quail Hollow and put in a decent performance. Justin Rose, very good at the Masters, so I think you sort of have to keep him in mind up there for the moment. These will probably change ahead of next week anyway. I'll be back a little bit earlier next week anyway, but just having a little look at all of them and seeing what the crack is with the US PGA, because we have a huge amount to look forward to in the next couple of weeks. In the next summer, it's going to be an absolutely amazing summer of golf, guys. I can't wait for it. So much to look forward to. US Open still to go, US PGA, and then obviously we have the Open Championship here in Ireland, which is going to be absolutely fantastic, right up there in Royal Portrush. And it looks like in a few years we're going to get an Open here, right here in Dublin, Ireland, at Portmarnock Golf Club. So that would be unbelievable. Absolutely insane thinking that we'd have an Open Championship here. And it looks like it is going to happen. Yeah, it's going to be interesting what sort of year they do that. They probably should have tried to get it done the same year as the Ryder Cup. That would have been absolutely fantastic, but that doesn't seem to be the case now. Okay, have I got anything else to go? Yeah, really disappointed, as I said, about Billy Horschel. That's very unfortunate news to see he's gone from there. So yeah, as I said to you a number of minutes ago, you can, if I can ever get this changed here, we'll zoom that in. Yeah, hit up the channel, subscribe, hit the notification button, all that, if you're getting value. There we are. There's some of the pairings, actually, for tomorrow. Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Tommy Fleetwood. Tommy hasn't been mentioned. And listen, I do like Tommy, but you're just thinking, is it ever going to happen for him? Let's be fair. It just doesn't seem as though it is. I think nearly 200 starts in the PGA Tour, and he's never won on the PGA Tour. I'd love to see Tommy do it, but I just don't. I just have a feeling that we're not going to see him win for a while yet. Keegan Bradley, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry, all out. These are all the feature groups for tomorrow. Xander Schauffele, Hideki Matsuyama, and Akshay Bhatia. Akshay has gone off the boil a lot, hasn't he? Really, I thought he'd go better at the Masters, and he just didn't. Didn't really sort of do anything. Hovland, Morikawa, and Wyndham Clark. Word gone around, actually, interesting one for anyone who's potentially having a look at Wyndham Clark next week. There is a rumour going around that he's, and he did actually start, I heard this before he started wincing. He was wincing at the Zurich with I think a wrist injury. I heard actually a back injury. So keep an eye on that. And hasn't been in good form, quite erratic this season and surprising. So I wouldn't really get too excited. I know he's won a Quail Hollow before, but if you're looking at him next week, just do a little bit more digging in that. And I'll try and see if we hear anything else next week ahead of that. Interesting, Colin Morikawa as well. Yeah, he's a chance around here this week as well, to be honest. Good driver. Solid everywhere, really. Jordan Spieth, Minwoo Lee, Marv McNeely. That is a really good 3-ball there. Minwoo Lee, obviously, we had him tipped up a few months ago as well. He won. And you know who else do I like here? Sepp Straka. Sepp sort of, if you look at Zurich, Bryce Garnett and him, he literally sort of carried Bryce Garnett in that event. I do like Sepp could get going on a run here, especially if it goes low scoring. Sepp is a birdie machine. There you go. 4.84 average this season. All three of them we've just spoken about there a moment ago, but obviously the scoring average there is with Scottie, who's not playing this week, because obviously we would have mentioned him a little bit more. Let's have a little clap for Scottie, by the way. Incredible stuff. And all the idiots who wrote him off. What are you talking about? Absolutely insane to write a guy like that off. He's the best golfer in the world. So yeah, really looking forward to what we have coming up in the next few weeks. There's the weather, as I said. I think I've gone through everything. As I said, I think I've been little bit more organised this week, so we're going to try and get more sort of segments into the show. As I said, if you're getting value, do like, subscribe, share. Listen, we've had a load of winners. I'm actually, you know what I'm going to do this week? I'm going to actually, because I post them all on Twitter, I'm going to post them. I'm going to go back from January and see how many we've got. I'm just trying to think now here who I actually have got as winners. I had Straka, I had Phillips, Henley, Justin Thomas. We've had multiple each ways. There's been a mountain of each ways. Thomas a couple of seconds as well. So that's 5 already. I think there's one more in there. If I can just, who else did I have as a winner? Minwoo Lee. There you go. I think that's 6 winners I've had this season. Picks. So let's just long may it continue. It's been a good year in terms of picks and predictions. So I want to keep that going, and hopefully this weekend we will. So yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Do appreciate it. And if you're getting value, do hit the subscribe button, like, share, all that shit. And do follow the YouTube channel. Loads more content. We'll have more stuff coming on Sunday on the final round. And what I'm going to try and do is for the US PGA next week, jump on, because it's a major, I'll jump on live if there's enough interests. We'll jump on live and we'll have a bit of crack and do a watch along here as well. Comments, questions, anything, get that in down in the comments section below. If you want to chat about anything, just bring it up and I'll mention it on the show here. Okay, so it is pretty late here in Dublin. It's nearly 1 a.m, so I'm going to get to bed. So from Niall McGrath, it is. Good luck, good night, and 4